Coach Michael, and I'm here to teach you about blurry lights and stuff. 1, 2, 3, 4! Those little dots in the background, they really make things feel more cinematic right away. I may have put a few too many up, but it's the main point of this video, so we are leaning in to the look. It's called bokeh, or bokeh. 50% confident it is pronounced bokeh, but it's the shape light makes when blurred out behind a subject. The size of those balls depends on distance to the camera, focal length, and a few other factors. You'll see them flickering in the distance of dialogue and interview shots, creating depth, and in every lens review video here on YouTube, including mine. But there's one film, a cult classic now, that I truly adore, that uses bokeh more purposefully. We're talking about Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, which is celebrating 10 years since its release. In particular, the use of bokeh having two non-circular, specific shapes in one scene. In this angle, an X is in the background on Ramona's side, as he tries to explain to Scott that he will have to fight her exes in order to keep dating her. While Scott's side shows hearts in the background, because all he heard is, "So we're dating." How? Well, I'm here to show you the DIY version of how to get this done. Here's what you'll need to get started. Basically, a pair of scissors, thick black paper, and a 50mm or longer lens, and plenty of tape. First, trace a circle around the diameter of your lens using a lens cap to be safe, and cut it out. Then take a longer piece of paper and measure it all the way around the lens so it fits snugly, and tape that. Now attach the circle to the other circle or ring with, you guessed it, some more tape, and X-Acto knife out a square in the center, specifically the center. Now make your shapes onto smaller squares, and you can attach these over the top with some additional tape. And here's what it looks like, taped together very professionally. So here is what bokeh looks like normal, and here is what it looks like with the X filter applied. Look at those shapes. You'll find with some experimentation that certain shapes, namely less complex things, work better than others. You're cutting a lot of light from your lens, which should go without saying, but I haven't seen any of the other videos talking about this effect really acknowledge that enough. It's charming though. It can really up the visuals of any love song. It really can set the tone so warmly to see those hearts. But let's stop and go back to some of those factors that affect this effect I mentioned earlier on. Here's a longer shot where the hearts are barely visible. Then, stepping in, you start to notice them. One more meter in, and you'll find what I consider the sweet spot for this lens. Even closer to your subject at minimum focus distance, and you're gonna get the biggest shapes. I find each lens and shape combination has its own middle ground, where that shape is best rendered. And by now, you've probably noticed, light looks significantly different in the center of the frame compared to the sides of it. With this version of the effect, the middle of the lens creates the cleanest version of the shape because of its alignment with the aperture. So consider this when framing. It doesn't need to be in the center of the frame to add something unique visually. Play around with it, don't be scared of that. Nor is it just for nighttime. In broad daylight, you'll notice the X shape, or whatever shape you're using, coming from every gleam, not just those harsh light sources. Look to use NDs so you can keep your aperture wide open, because as you'll see here, when you stop down normally, sure, you just get smaller circles of light. But stop down with a filter like this on, and you'll see that very shape as a vignette. So prioritize keeping your lenses wide open. Hopefully you learned enough to get started and test out your own. There is still one thing I can't teach you how to do from this example. How did they get all three of these shapes into one frame? Ramona's side has the X, Scott's side has the hearts, the background is just regular bokeh. How is this possible? Masking, software? Edgar Wright, if you want to hit us up in the comments, I still don't know how you actually did this, and I'm sure there's a much more professional solution that I would genuinely love to hear. Hopefully now you'll appreciate these kinds of little details a bit more and understand how much goes into setting the overall tone of a movie. If you've got other effects or unique scenes that deserve this treatment, let me know below. I love doing the research and working backwards to come up with budget ways to pull these things off. I've got one more thing for us to look at. Get it? Click, subscribe, cursor. That's better. Until next week, I'm off walkie. Buying stuff.